Fisherman catches weird creature. When vet sees it, he calls the police. John had always been a passionate fisherman. It was more than just a hobby for him, it was a way of life. He had spent countless hours on the water fishing for all kinds of fish, but on this day he had a feeling that he was going to catch something extraordinary. As he cast his net into the water, he waited patiently, feeling the weight of the net as it dragged along the bottom. Suddenly he felt a tug and he knew he had caught something big. He pulled the net in and there it was, a strange-looking creature unlike any fish he had ever seen. It was slimy and had a shiny skin that reflected the light of the setting sun. The creature wriggled in his net trying to break free, and John couldn't believe what he was seeing. He had never seen anything like it before. He knew he had to take it to the experts. But what was this creature? Where did it come from? And why did it look so different from anything else he had ever caught? John couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and unease at the same time. He knew this was going to be a big discovery, but he also knew that it could be dangerous. As he made his way back to the shore, he couldn't help but think about the possibilities. Maybe this was a new species of fish never before discovered. Perhaps it was a mutated creature that had somehow adapted to survive in the polluted waters. John's mind was racing with questions, but he knew he had to take the creature to the experts for answers. As he arrived at the dock, John made his way to the local veterinarian, Dr. Williams. He knew he was the man to help identify the strange creature he had caught. When he showed Dr. Williams the fish, the vet's eyes widened in shock. He recognized the creature, but not in a good way. He quickly picked up the phone and called the police. John was taken aback. Why did the vet call the police? Was the creature dangerous? What had he caught? Hey there, Viral Videos here. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell. We post the most beautiful, amazing and scary videos every single day. Let's proceed with the video. He had a million questions, but he knew he had to wait for answers. The suspense was killing him and he could feel his heart racing with anticipation. He had always dreamed of catching something big, but he never could have imagined something like this. As he made his way back to his truck, John couldn't help but wonder what was going to happen next. What kind of creature had he caught, and why did it make the vet call the police? He knew he had to be patient, but the waiting was torture. What was going to happen next? John had no idea. But he knew that his life was about to change forever. He had caught the catch of a lifetime, but he had no idea what it would lead to. As John left the veterinary clinic, he couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. Why had Dr. Williams called the police? What was wrong with the creature he had caught? He knew he had to wait for answers, but he was impatient. He felt like he was sitting on a ticking time bomb. Days passed before he heard anything, but eventually the phone rang and it was Dr. Williams on the other end. He asked John to come to the clinic and his tone was grave. John knew that something serious was going on. When John arrived, Dr. Williams led him to a back room where a team of scientists was waiting. They had taken the creature that John had caught and they had been studying it ever since. The room was filled with high-tech equipment and John felt like he had entered a science fiction movie. Dr. Williams turned to John and said, "We've never seen anything like this before. This is a new species of fish, one that has never been discovered. But it's not just any fish. This creature has unique properties that we've never seen in any other animal." John's heart raced. He had caught a new species of fish. He couldn't believe his luck, but then Dr. Williams continued, "There's more. This fish is dangerous. It has a venomous sting that could be deadly if it were to come into contact with humans. That's why I called the police." John's excitement turned to fear. He had caught a dangerous fish, one that could kill him. He didn't know what to do. But then Dr. Williams continued, "Don't worry, we've taken all the necessary precautions. We have the fish under control and we've isolated its venom. We're going to study it further to understand more about this new species." John let out a sigh of relief. He was glad to hear that the scientists had everything under control, but he still couldn't believe what he had caught, a new species of fish. He felt like he was part of history. Dr. Williams then handed him a folder filled with information about the new species. John eagerly flipped through the pages, soaking up every detail. He felt like he had just won the lottery, but he knew that this discovery was far more important than any amount of money. As John left the clinic, he felt like he was on top of the world. He had caught a new species of fish and he was part of something bigger than himself. He couldn't wait to see what would happen next, but he also knew that the danger was still out there. He had to be careful. What would happen next, John didn't know, but he felt like he was part of a story that was just beginning. He couldn't wait to see what the future held. As John walked out of the clinic, he could feel his heart racing with excitement. He had just caught a new species of fish and he couldn't wait to learn more about it, but as he walked down the street he noticed that something was off. There were police cars parked outside his house. John's heart sank. What was going on? Had something happened to his family? He started running towards his house, but a police officer stopped him. "Mr. Johnson, we need to talk to you about something important." John's mind raced with possibilities. Had he done something wrong? Had he caught a fish that he wasn't supposed to? The officer led him into his house and John was surprised to see that there were scientists there too. One of the scientists turned to John and said, "We need to know more about this fish you caught. We think it might have come from a nearby river and we need to investigate." John felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had done nothing wrong. The police and scientists were just trying to learn more about the new species of fish he had caught, but he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. As the investigation continued, John learned more about the fish he had caught. It was a dangerous species with a venomous sting that could be deadly if not handled properly. The police and scientists were worried that if the fish had made its way into the local river, it could cause serious harm. John started to feel guilty. He had caught the fish and now it was causing all this trouble. He wished he had never caught it in the first place. But then something strange happened. One of the scientists discovered that the fish had a unique property. Its venom could be used to create a new kind of medicine, one that could save lives. The police investigation turned into a scientific study and John found himself at the center of it all. He had caught a new species of fish, one that could potentially save lives. He couldn't believe it. But then he noticed something strange about the fish. It had a strange marking on its fin, one that he hadn't noticed before. It was a symbol that he had never seen before. John couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something special about this fish, something that he couldn't quite put his finger on. He knew that there was more to this discovery than he could ever imagine. As the police investigation came to a close, John felt a sense of relief. The fish had been isolated, and the scientists were continuing their study, but he also felt a sense of excitement. He had caught a new species of fish, one that could potentially change the world. What would happen next? John didn't know, but he couldn't wait to find out. He had a feeling that this discovery was just the beginning of something much bigger. Months had passed since John had caught the strange fish and he had all but forgotten about it. He had returned to his routine of fishing every weekend and life had gone back to normal, but one day he received a call from one of the scientists who had been studying the fish. "John, you won't believe what we've discovered," the scientist said, excitement clear in his voice. John's heart raced. Had they found something new about the fish? He rushed to the scientist's lab, eager to find out what the news was. When he arrived, he was met with a strange sight. The fish tank that had once held the mysterious fish was now empty. He looked at the scientist, confused. "The fish is gone," John said. "Yes, it's gone, but not because it's dead," the scientist replied. "We released it back into the wild, but not before we discovered something amazing. The fish has a unique protein in its venom that could revolutionize the medical industry. We've been working on isolating it and we've finally succeeded." John was stunned. The fish he had caught months ago, the fish that had caused so much trouble and intrigue, had led to a medical breakthrough. He couldn't believe it. "We're calling it the Johnson protein," the scientist continued. "We want to thank you for catching this fish, John. Without you we wouldn't have made this discovery." John was overwhelmed with emotion. He had caught a fish that had led to a medical breakthrough and they had named the protein after him. It was an incredible feeling, but then he remembered the strange symbol on the fish's fin. He had never been able to figure out what it meant. He asked the scientist about it, hoping that they had discovered something new. The scientist looked at John and smiled. "We did some research on the symbol and it turns out that it's an ancient symbol of good luck. We think that your catch was more than just luck, John. It was destiny." John couldn't believe it. He had caught a fish that had led to a medical breakthrough and it had also brought him good luck. It was the happiest day of his life. As he left the lab, he thought about everything that had happened since he had caught that strange fish. He had gone through a roller coaster of emotions, from excitement to guilt to relief and now to overwhelming happiness. John realized that sometimes the things that seem weird or out of place can lead to incredible discoveries. He was grateful for the experience and he knew that he would never forget it. As he walked out of the lab and into the sunshine, John felt a sense of peace. He had caught a fish that had changed his life in ways he couldn't have imagined. It was a happy ending to a story that had started with a strange and mysterious catch. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you next time.